Today's video, I'm going to be talking about something that doesn't really get talked about much. So I hope you enjoy, I hope you learn something as always, and take something from this and apply it into your next snow goose hunt. So I hope you enjoy, and let's get started. So what I'm going to be talking about today is snow goose calls. A snow goose call is something that doesn't really get touched on, doesn't really get talked about much because number one, they're not really as vital as they used to be back before the snow goose conservation order started. With the use of electronic calls now, they've just kind of fell off the map a little bit. Well, today I'm just going to kind of talk about how I utilize it and how it's actually helped us over the past few years that I've been using this thing out in the field, and how it's helped us harvest more birds. So first things first is we're going to talk a little bit about snow goose vocalization. A lot of e-callers that you hear nowadays, except for a few, there's one that's real popular that a lot of people use. It's a lot of that low, that murmur sound, the feeding murmur, which on a snow goose call, unless you're hunting in the fall, is really kind of useless in the springtime, especially if you're using this along with your electronic callers. Those birds aren't really going to be able to hear that over all that commotion from your electronic caller. So what I like to do is do high-pitched barks, excited barks, which is basically, a bark is the cluck of a snow goose or the honk of a snow goose, just a real sharp. That is a bark. Now, when I'm using it along with my e-collar, I like to have my e-collar at a, now when I'm picking e-collar sounds, one of the big things I look for is the sound of excited snow geese. Because when there's other geese approaching other geese on the ground, definitely pay attention to the vocalization that they're using, those other birds on the ground, to communicate with the birds up in the air. The birds on the ground will start getting a little more, vocal. The honks and barks will start picking up more because they're like, hey, come down, hey, here. So that's one of the biggest keys that I try to look for when picking electronic snow goose sounds. So what this snow goose call allows you to do is give you that 3D effect. Now, there's a lot of great snow goose callers out there on the market and a lot of e-collar sounds, but you just can't mimic that natural sound of a snow goose. You can't get that 3D sound because evidently it's not a real snow goose. You're playing it through speakers. So when you add this along with your electronic caller, it just adds that extra bit of realism. And I've actually had birds turn around, big flocks. They'd be working and they get out and I start just hammering on this thing. I've literally watched them turn around. And if you've went back in our snow goose video this past spring that I put out, you actually hear this quite a bit in that video. So what I do is I watch the birds, and if they're reacting to the e-collar a little bit and they're working the decoys, and as snow goose is very wary, they're very observant. That's why they work vertical. They look down. They're trying to pick out anything that's unnatural to their eye, so they can say, hey, okay, these aren't geese, let's get out of here. Well, sometimes they like to circle. Well, when they're circling and you start to see them lose interest, I immediately pick up the snow goose call and I start giving them rapid barks like this. That just sounds like a single snow goose getting excited or landing. And like I said, I've watched geese literally, they start to lose interest and they start to do that slide. If you're a snow goose hunter, you know what I'm talking about. They'll be working and all of a sudden they want to slide off, and eventually you start seeing wing beats and then they fly off. I've literally seen them do that, and then as soon as I pick this up, they stop, they make a big swing and hook up and come in. I've seen it too many times, and so all those times that I've seen that, I've just used this more often because it's helped us. There's been years that I've seen geese do that and we're like, oh crap, they just saw something they didn't like. Well, sometimes it's not maybe something they see, maybe it's something they hear. So just a snow goose call is just something that can that's one tool to put in your arsenal that can be on your side a little bit and killing these wary birds. Snow geese are one of the toughest out of all the waterfowl to hunt. You've probably heard that multiple times, and they really are. They're a goose that you could set up on a field they've been feeding in. You go there you go and set up that night, get there early in the morning, and then they may not even show up. So in fact, I got a story. A few years ago, we hunted this field. There was geese. I mean, there's thousands of them in it, probably 30,000 birds in this field, huge feed. And I got permission on it, and there was a big pond to the west of us. Well, they went to that pond and roosted. Well, there was literally a car accident, and about, I don't know, a mile or so away, it made a real loud boom because it was quiet. Literally all those birds got up and left. And we were in the middle of, we were finishing up setting up the spread, and they'd been there the whole time. And then as soon as that car wrecked, that boom, they got up and flew off. So that goes to show you how wary a snow goose is. Just by a car accident, you know, that boom a mile away spooks those birds. So it just goes to show you how smart and how wary these birds are. And snow goose hunting has changed so much just over the past 10 years. I remember, you know, when I first started snow goose hunting, I was probably 8 or 9 in 07 when my dad and grandpa did it, and they started doing it back when the kill order started in 99. They've been hunting them all the way through, and they used Texas rags, and they averaged, you know, with 2-3 guns with, you know, that didn't have extension tubes on them, and they had one speaker e-collar, an old Johnny Stewart cassette tape e-collar with excited snow goose calls on it, and it didn't sound the greatest, but they killed a ton of birds doing that, and they had a lot of big flocks. And that is because the hunting pressure wasn't there. Well, now, over the years, the DVDs come out, and then people start, you know, showing the success that they're having, and more outfitters are getting involved. It made those geese a little bit warier from all that pressure. And so a snow goose call is definitely a tool that just helps you in the spring to kill these birds. I wouldn't be making this video if I didn't believe it, because I truly believe that a snow goose call works. Like I said, I just use sharp barks, and how I do that is I just short burst of air, just from my diaphragm, and just to get those real sharp. And if you really want to get technical with it, you can do Ross peeps, with it just a little bit shorter. And so yeah. So guys, I hope you guys take this, use it this coming spring in 2021. It's going to be coming up fast, and I'm getting excited for it. I know some other people are. So if you guys have learned something, or if you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe, leave a thumbs up. It helps us out greatly, and I will catch you in the next one.